slow? Is that one that grows real slow?
It grows pretty slow, yeah. That's what it looks like when it's dry.
How do you dry them? Do you use the sun or you dehydrate?
Well, we used to use outdoor drying. I'll show you what the lines look like for kelp. But now we've gone to indoor drying because we have better control. Okay, stop there. So here's a kelp bed. Down at the bottom is a holdfast. And then there's a hollow stipe. And then right here is where cell division is happening. So if you punch a hole here, that hole will go this way as the frond gets longer over the season. So you can actually measure the growth of a plant just punching a hole and tying on a piece of surveyor's ribbon so you can find the plant. The fronds will get 10 to 12 feet long. In the fourth year, the winter storms will tug them out in the winter. They'll find a lock in the ice in the corner. So the age of most of the kelp plants is up to 4 years. This was an easy winter, so we may find some older plants. So this is what I'm looking at when I'm in a boat and I'm floating at low tide. And see, I've cut the stipes here. So the game for me is to breathe 2,000 wet pounds into the boat in a couple of hours. And I'm cutting with a frozen food knife with a rubber handle. There's one back there I can show you. And then we get back to the cove, and this is high tide, and we start putting things into bushels. Let's stop again. We've always transferred things to bushels and then to a trailer, and then the trailer up to wherever we're going to hang it up to dry. Now it's up the hill, the indoor dryers. This year, I want to get an aluminum tilt trailer with a capstan winch, and I'm going to start winching a whole scow box of kelp onto the trailer. Well, that will save us about 6,000 pounds of lifting effort. So the project today is we are working to sell enough seaweed to have an aluminum trailer with a capstan winch. That's where I'm at. And I'm at that point where I'm saying I'm 70 years old and I'm getting too old for this stuff. So, on we go. This is Casey and Casey Incorporated. Stop. That dark spore band releases spore. That's how they reproduce. And the spores will settle and start a new plant. If you were an aquaculturist, you would cut out that spore band, scrape it lightly, dry it in the shade for about 3 or 4 hours, and then put it back in water. It'll release spore into the water until the water is milky. Then you take a spool of line and just run it through the milky water and the spore will attach. And then that spool of line gets taken out to support ropes and spiral onto the support ropes and grown out. That's the aquaculturist life.
And the spore actually have tails. They can swim. They swim. So they look for a place to settle. So it's like a plant, you know.
Did I read that you can use this to take toxins out of the water? Are they doing that? I don't remember.
Yeah.
They're doing remediation with kelp? I don't know.
She wants to know about remediating polluted water with seaweed, bioremediation.
There's a man named Charles Yarish who has written for aquaculturists. You can download a manual of how to aquaculture. And he'll talk about bioremediation in the Bronx River, which doesn't sound appetizing to me at all. I went looking for clear water when I started out. I grew up in Minnesota, sitting in boats with my dad on lakes that were clear. I bailed out of Minnesota when I was 20, and I taught school in Florida for 5 years and swam in the Gulf of Mexico. And then I motorcycled up the coast on the BMW. And I went from Florida to Maine in 3 days, and I was just literally dousing with my body to find a place where the air was good. And finally I settled and I said, okay, the air breathes really deep into me here. This is a good place to be. And then years later, what happened was my father had died when I was a kid. And years later, I was on the water and I was feeling his spirit close to me, and I opened up to him and just invited him and said, why don't you guide me? See life through my eyes, guide me. And 6 people with my mother's birthday came into my life within 6 months. And I went to the astrologers and I said, what's this about? And they said, oh, your father has given you a megadose of your mother's energy, the original mix that you are. I said, yeah, May 4th. And yeah, that's the day of nourishing support. Enjoy the ride. So there are lots of synchronicities in my life. That was one of them. Then finally, when people understood that I had the connection with my father, they would channel my father to me. Just out of the blue. You know, I'm talking to a new customer in New Mexico, and I think the conversation's about seaweed, and all of a sudden she just blurts it right at me. She says, your father and your grandfather are encouraging you to write your book. Like that. And this is what comes at me every once in a while. So when I talk to a young guy who's, you know, got his nose in a gadget, I say, well, when my father died, I was looking in his eyes and I downloaded an app. And the app I downloaded was called The Father Legacy. And it's constantly being upgraded on the cosmic internet. And every time I log on and ask an honest question and then shut up and listen, I never know what I'm going to get because it's an app that's being upgraded. And he's evolving just like I'm evolving. So we're challenging each other to grow life after life. That's my sense of my father. This fellow on the left went off to start a company called Atlantic Holdfast. And I like the aesthetics of his website. Micah. Micah was homeschooled, grew up in Aroostook County, and spent time in Greece. And he watched what I was doing for 1 season and went off to Deer Isle and started a business. That's happened several times. I had one apprentice who worked with me for 5 years, started a seaweed company, he sold the company to a woman working with him. He went off to Harvard Law, got his law degree, and now he's working on behalf of prisoners' rights, immigration problems, that kind of stuff. So here's a spore band, dried out. I just like it when light comes through a plant like that.